I'm gonna be honest, you guys, high school, it is a literal struggle to pull myself out of bed every single morning. But on the bright side, I got this free plushie from work. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Sabrina and welcome back to my book nook. So I am sorry I haven't been posting videos for a while. I tried to upload a video but it just didn't work out and I wasted so much time and energy on it that I got upset and I just didn't want to film anymore. But I just bought this book and I really wanted to do a book review on it. That's what today's video is. If you didn't already know by the title, today we're going to be reviewing Love on the Brain by Hazelwood, which I have so much to say about this book. I'm so excited. Before we get into the book review, I just want to break down how my book reviews work. So my book reviews are broken down into 4 parts. Parts 1 and 4 will be spoiler free, but parts 2 and 3 will have spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, please don't watch parts 2 and 3. Part 1, I just give my beginning thoughts and opinions and a brief plot summary. Part 2, I talk about plot, writing, and other elements. Part 3, I talk about characters and relationships. And part 4, I give my final thoughts and my overall rating and answering the question, is it a must read? Okay? Great. Oh my god, also guys, I totally forgot to mention, I dyed my hair. You can't really tell the difference in this video, but I'm going to put a picture in so you can see my new dyed hair. It's red now. You just can't tell because it's shitty lighting. Part 1, beginning thoughts and opinions. You guys, when I say this was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, I waited so long for this fucking book. I was counting down the days until August 23rd. When this book came out, I went straight to Barnes & Noble right after school and I got it, and it was kind of embarrassing because I had to ask a worker if they had the new book because I couldn't find it, and she's like, there's literally an entire table just filled with that book, and I was like, oh, so I'm just fucking stupid. Okay. But anyways, this book, it has all the good tropes, arch enemies / kind of academic rivals to lovers. It has secret pining for very long periods of time. It has forced proximity, it has workplace romance, and it has miscommunication, but it's done right, okay? I hate miscommunication, but this one, it's actually kind of fun. Not to mention, this book absolutely hits all the sweet spots that a good romance book should. It got me kicking my feet, squealing, laughing, crying, talking to the walls. It's just, oh my god, I felt like I was going insane reading this book. Not to mention, all the characters in this book are very distinctive and written thoughtfully and respectfully. The secondary characters are like just as much a delight to read as the main characters. And I think that it also manages to handle important topics like feminism and specifically like women in STEM and misogyny in the workplace and just things like that without sounding like too girl bossy. Don't get me wrong, it is still kind of like a millennial BuzzFeed girl bossy at times, but it's okay. It's mostly like, I think, a really good subversion of the typical misogynistic romance tropes you see. Levi and Bee are an absolutely perfect couple. They are the couple, you know? I haven't even watched Star Wars. I don't know what Reylo is. I've said this multiple times, but like, I don't care if this was a Reylo fanfiction. It was fucking good. I'm gonna read it. This book is so good. I read it in literally one sitting, and I've been in a reading slump for the past couple months. I haven't finished a book in a single month, but I finished this in one sitting. So that should just tell you how good it was. And after I finished it, I just sat in like a depressed, numb state for like a solid hour, which is just like, you know, good romance book, you know what I mean? I did the same thing for book lovers, and it just reminded me of how lonely I am. Okay, anyways, on to a brief little plot summary. So basically in this book we meet Bee, who is a romantically closed off neuroscientist who's asked to co-lead the project of her dreams for NASA, except she found out that she has to work with Levi, an engineer who apparently hates her guts from grad school. Only once they actually start working together, she discovers that he might not be as bad as she thought. Just like the plot summary alone I can tell it's gonna be kind of trash, but like good trash, you know what I mean? On to part 2, thoughts on plot writing and other elements. First off, let's talk about the plot. It was ridiculous, okay? It was a little ridiculous at times. It definitely was too fanfiction-y for my taste at some points, but I think that it only made the book more fun to read, honestly. Like, I don't think every romance book has to take itself too seriously. I think the only criticism I have of this book is this scene that I just found absolutely ridiculous. I did the same for Love Hypothesis. There was this one scene that I found absolutely ridiculous and I could not stand. Again, spoiler alert, but in this book, towards the end, there is the scene, you know, guy pulls out a gun on B and threatens her life. And I was like, where the fuck did that come from? I understand that there was like build-up and foreshadowing that something was gonna happen with Guy and him being like bad and the one that's sabotaging the project. Like, we all could have seen that coming. That whole scene felt incredibly out of place for this type of story. I was like, that should not be in this type of book. This is goofy. That scene I think was a little bit too much for my taste. But other than that, I think that the plot was definitely adventurous and on the riskier side for typically cute contemporary romance books, but I did appreciate the effort. And as for the writing is obviously this well-known, adorably quirky and semi-relatable, semi-cringe writing style that we all know and love by Miss Ali Hazelwood. It's also in first-person POV, which I think is normally kind of a hit or miss with me. It was definitely a hit with this book though. I think it really helps with the whole obliviousness of the protagonist, because in the Love Hypothesis it was kind of a criticism by most people who didn't like the book that Olive was just unbelievably oblivious. I think that by reading a character's first person POV instead, it kind of helps. So I think that that was well done. The pacing was also really nice, although I do think that the pacing of B and Levi's relationship felt a little bit rushed when you consider the time frame of the book, but I will ignore that part because I love them so much. And as I mentioned earlier, I actually did love how this book addressed feminism and misogyny, not only by like actually talking about women in the workplace within the story, but also just the book and its writing as a whole. Like, the book subverts misogynistic stereotypes and portrayals of women and the way that they're written, specifically Annie I'm going to talk about, which I really love how in the whole Annie Tim situation with B, they really place the majority of the blame on Tim, as they should. Place it on the man whore. The man who cheated is always the actual villain. Like, yes, homewreckers are in the wrong if they actually knew about the relationship and still continue to do it, but I hate how people just put way more blame on the woman than the man, and it's obviously misogynistic. But this book doesn't do that. It places all the blame on Tim, and it doesn't necessarily let Annie go from the actions that she's done, the consequences she has to face, but it really works on trying to subvert that whole homewrecker, she's so evil stereotype, you know, which I really loved. The tropes within this book themselves, they're not my typical favorite, although I do love rivals to lovers trope. Academic rivals to lovers is literally my favorite trope of all time. I'm trying to have an academic rival, you know what I mean? But it's either one, I'm not smart enough for them, or two, there's nobody. But what I did appreciate about this book was that it didn't try to lean too heavily on the tropes and like rely on them to keep this story afloat. I feel like a lot of romance books do that nowadays. They'll like sell the book based on the trope and be like, you should read this book because it has enemies to lovers and only one bed. I'm like, okay, great, but like, where's the actual story? You can't just sell a book and write it based off a trope. That just seems like a cash grab to me, and we're not here for it. We're not here for it. But I think this book, it has tropes, but it feels natural. It makes sense, and I feel like, again, when you have books where the sole reason they're being written is to be written for the trope, it's obvious. Like, you can tell it was written only for the trope, and it's just bad writing. So on to part 3, characters and relationships. Let's talk about B. I fucking love her. She's the classic, like, quirky girl and a total millennial, but I fucking love her. Like, sure, she does get a little bit too BuzzFeed girl boss for me, but I really do think that she's just like such a delight to read, even though, oh my god, she's so fucking stupid sometimes. It's so obvious that Levi was the Twitter guy. Everybody could have seen this coming. Everybody knew. Everybody knows except for her. You are a woman in STEM. You are a neuroscientist. How can you not tell this man has been in love with you for the past 6 years? Like, come on. And you know what? She is relatable sometimes. Like, I too have commitment issues, even though I don't even want to be in an actual relationship. And also, I'm in love with Adam Driver. Who isn't, you know? twins. Moving on to Levi, like we've established, this man is Adam Driver, okay? I've seen people try to argue that Adam from The Love Hypothesis isn't based off Adam Driver. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Anyways, he's a 6'4" nerd who's also athletic. Like, come on. He's a runner, he's a track star. And he's been in love with Bea for literally 6 years, but didn't want her to feel uncomfortable, so he never said anything. And oh my god, that scene when he finds out that Tim has lied to him this entire time and he confronts him and he's hugging him, so he's actually like about to strangle him. Oh my god, that scene, I swear to god, I swear to god. I paced around the room during that scene. I put the book down, I walked around my room, did a couple laps. Honestly, Bea and Levi are so fucking cute. I love them so much. They're both vegan and they're environmentally sustainable. Like, come on. Best couple ever. I love them so much. It's actually unbelievable. And really briefly, I just wanted to mention, I think it's Rocio and Kaylee, the absolute best relationship to ever exist. They are the best example of the black cat golden retriever couple. I love them so much, and I predicted the relationship, even though it was like really obvious, but I predicted it from the start. Okay, so moving on to part 4, final thoughts and opinions and overall rating. This book was fucking amazing and I loved it. Like, it definitely lived up to the excitement I had for it, which was definitely a high bar. I fucking love contemporary romance books so much, and nobody does it like Miss Allie Hazelwood. She gets it, you know, she's the girly that gets it. The writing is funny and it's not too cringy, although the plot can get a little ridiculous and too fanfiction-y for me at times, but I think that it really only adds to the fun of reading it all. The characters are also not only lovable but nicely fleshed out, and the romance in this book is just so fucking god. Oh my god, I cried, I laughed, I squealed, I paced, I did everything. It's just, it hits all the spots. So overall, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Are we surprised? Obviously not. Like, we already knew what this book was gonna get from the beginning, from the minute I laid eyes on it, from the minute I heard her announce her next book. Is this a must read? What do you fucking think? Of course this is a must read. It's the literal definition of a must read. Go out and buy this book right fucking now. Everybody needs to read this. I don't give 2 shits whether or not you think it's stupid. Who cares if it's stupid? It's fun. It's good. It's something to pass the time with, you know? It's a good distraction. I genuinely think it's such a fun book and such a good romance book that everybody should read it. Whether or not you like romance books, I just think it's something nice to help you take your mind off of life for a bit. So I think that's everything I had to say about the book. Again, I'm really sorry for not uploading more videos. I've just been really swamped with school lately, and I had some problem filming and uploading and editing, and we're trying to work on it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. If you watched this entire video, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, don't. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe. Only if you want to, though. And I will see you all next time. Bye!